Hello and welcome to Funny Mummies, the podcast for people that hate parenting podcasts. I'm Hatty Ashdown, comedian and writer, and I'm blessed with two lively boys. Each show I'm joined by funny mummies from the world of comedy, but also those that are aunties or friends, because let's be honest, we all need the help of our non-tired mates. Join us as we find the funny side of parenting, life, and being bloody great women.
Happy Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day to you! Happy Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day to you!
Well, hello and welcome to the Funny Mummies podcast for the Other Woman show on Soho Radio. I'm Hatty Ashdown. How are you all doing? Well done for making the best choice you could today and spending the next 40 minutes or so with me and my two guests. We'll get to them in a minute. Now, I'm a mum of a certain age. I had my babies past 38, and so I think considered an older mum or geriatric mum, or now I'm hearing that word has gone. It's something myself and a lot of my friends have done either by choice, requirement or accident. So I invited two of my favourite hot older mums I hope they don't mind being called older mums, to discuss the highs and lows of having kids later in your prime. So first, you've heard her here a few times. A minute, my thing's playing up. You've heard her a few times on this podcast. It's been far too long, so it's time to have her back. It's everyone's favourite playwright of such works as Mudlarks, BBC Radio 4's The Gift, and Piper, and mum of two. It's the hilarious Vicki Donoghue.
Hello.
Woo-hoo! This is when you just get to say hello. Yeah, I forgot. We're on Zoom, so there's a slight delay. And so we'll go on to our next, and then we'll all have a big virtual hug. And next, it's her first time to the Funny Mummies podcast. And her first time doing a podcast. I feel so honoured. And it's the first time we've had a TV executive producer, darling. Her credits include just a few little rubbish TV programmes like Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother. In 2015 was appointed creative director. Others include Street Mate. Oh, God, I love Street Mate. Ant and Dec, Saturday Night Takeaway. And Don't Tell the Bride, even. She's mum of three, the very funny Susy Price.
Hello.
And we all went to university together. That's the most important information they need to know. Not in the same year. Huh?
Just after the war, when
Just
life was in black and white. Quite a long time ago now, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, we just about a desk to sit at. Well, hi at last. It is in true working mum style. It has taken such a lot of effort to get here, but we've done it. And just to sort of relax us in, I've got a little quick fire round that I do at the beginning. But don't worry, you don't have to be too quick. But just as in, don't think about your answers too much. So how should I tell you what, I'll do Susy first, then Vicky, you can answer second. We'll do it like that. Okay. So what's the one kids film you could live without never seeing again, and could be your specialist subject on Mastermind? So the one they just won't stop watching.
You know what? I don't think I've got one now. They used to have those kind of things that were on constantly, and they've stopped doing it. Thankfully.
Oh, maybe this is an age.
Watch new things. I think it's an age thing.
Oh, is it? Am I in that bracket where it's like, oh, they just want to watch Toy Story again and again?
Yeah. No, they've gone past it, and I'm very grateful. But now, when I hear the Night Garden music, which I haven't heard now for a few years, it's always like, oh my God, it's nearly the end of the day. I've done it. I've done it again.
Yes!
I'm nearly in bed. So it's like that kind of, and it feels like nice and nostalgic now, but at the time, it's very much like a kind of like, well done, Susie, you've done it.
Yeah.
Nearly a glass of wine.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so would that be your mastermind subject though? Night Garden.
Yeah, probably. Although I've probably forgotten a lot about it now. But yeah. At the time, it felt like that was on repeat for a good few years.
Yeah. And Vicky, any films or it can be a TV show, I guess.
I'm the same. I'm probably more in the bracket of you, Hat. with the younger one is in that film. The Toy Story is the one at the moment. But
oh, is it?
I think if I was going to choose one that comes to my mind is Minions. Just because she was so scared of films and anything scary.
Yeah.
That the Minions was safe and silly and funny. But I watched it so many times. And in the Night Garden as well. When I hear that, when I hear that music, I get a bit of a shudder. Luckily, the younger one never went near In the Night Garden. Weirdly,
it's triggering, but also it's but also slightly. Oh my God! Remember those days? They were bleak.
So bleak.
Yeah.
I just get that thing of like, before I had kids, I thought, it'd be nice. We'd just watch Disney films and Pixar films all the time. And then the reality is at the moment, it's like they want to watch some rubbish film on Netflix. I mean, Netflix has got some good ones, but they've also got some weird films.
Really shocking ones as well, actually.
And there'll be like one that they're really into, Maya and the Three or whatever it is. And you're like, really? And they go, watch that again. And I'm like, can we watch? I mean, actually, I don't mind watching Toy Story. That is one I don't mind. I find that quite comforting. So I say, please can we watch Toy Story, or please watch the new one? And no, so I just don't know what the answer is to get them off it. Sometimes I have found, here's a little tip, that I just don't ask them and I just put it on, and then they're gonna go, oh, what's this? So just don't give me.
That was always the way with Jessie. Like she's so fearful of film, of any film. It's so weird.
Liberty had that as well, Vic, and for ages I just, as you say, Hattie, expected to have kids and then go, watch this film that I loved as a kid, and and Liberty just wouldn't watch anything until I had to kind of like say there will be a bit of peril in the middle. Look, it says mild peril, and there'll be a bit of peril, and you'll think everything's going to be really bad, but it's always great in the end. And I kind of had to ruin storytelling for her by saying it's kind of fine in the end. And then that kind of like helped her watch stuff. But for ages, she wouldn't watch anything just in case it was frightening.
Isn't that fun? And you're both talking about girls, but actually my oldest is a bit like that. I've had to walk out of a stage show because he could tell that some peril was coming up. He could tell this was a kid show. I mean, it wasn't Lady in Black, don't worry. It was some monster show on the South Bank, but he knew that, Anyway, I'm not doing my own thing of saying this is a quick fire round. Best advice you've ever had for parenting?
Oh, I'm shit at going first, aren't I?
Vicky can go first if you've got one.
I don't think I have.
I have, actually. I thought of something. That everything is a phase, and that includes the good stuff. And that's true. I think when you're just really struggling with something really awful that they're going through, and you just have to remind yourself that it's a phase, I think it's also good to remind yourself that you're wishing away some of the really cute stuff as well. Yeah. That's the stuff. Like, children like mispronouncing stuff. Like, my youngest is 5, and he still mispronounces a couple of things that I'm determined not to correct him. Because it's just like, it's the last of the cute kind of thing, really. And then they just don't do it ever again. And that little window of kind of saying something, he'll say, oh, should we have a game of chess? And things like that you just think, oh, I'll forget that in a couple of years, and he'll just say it properly and we'll all just move on.
He'll be going, shall we have a game of chess, Mummy?
No, not that he can play chess.
I was going to say, I'm very impressed.
Not in any way at all, but it's just those cute little things. Always says, oh, he's fallen off a cliff. I'm not, and I can't correct him just because I'm hanging on to him.
And all the little names you have for things like biscuits and digestives, for some reason they're called letter biscuits in our house because they've got letters on them. And now I haven't corrected them. No. And it's going to be letter biscuits forever.
So that's the thing. Like, everything's a phase, including the good stuff. So just try and.
That's really, really good advice.
I love that.
Vicky, did you have any good advice? I mean, you can say no.
I can't think of any. I mean, I do love advice because I always take everything personally. I always think what my child's done is the strangest and most awful, and no other child's ever done it. And then you you talk to a chum and a fellow mum, and they always go, oh yeah, mine's been doing that for ages, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I really, really need advice. I love receiving it because it makes me feel grounded and stop panicking. But yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Also, obviously, the flip side is sometimes getting the worst advice. I remember when I had my first child, I've only had two. It makes it sound like I've got a ton. It was an ex-boyfriend who's a friend as well. Said to me, "Don't listen to anybody's advice." That was his thing, but I kind of get what he means. As in, just do things the best you can. But so my next one's going to be worst advice, and the worst bit I had actually was listening to a neighbour about. She was shouting to me over the balcony about the birth, basically, and she was just like going, "It was the worst day of my life. I felt like I was going to die," and I was like, "Oh, thanks very much." And of course that just made me so scared, and you don't need it. And I know people always say afterwards, they go, why didn't you tell me it's so bad? But it's not. I think it's better to go in positive. I still think it's better to go in positive because it's not bad for everyone. I've had lots of guests on this podcast who have been one of those magical beings. Josie Long was one where she actually had quite a positive birth. So I mean, I hate her for it, but there you go.
It's rare, isn't it? But as you say, it's like when someone's pregnant for the first time and you think, "Ooh, how realistic shall I be with my advice?" Do you know what I mean? Like, how do I tell them some of the stuff to expect?
Yeah.
Because actually, it's good to know. But also, then sometimes ignorance is bliss, isn't it? And as you say, lots of people do have quite positive experiences of childbirth stuff, and maybe they don't want to be scared. Maybe being scared is going to make things worse.
Exactly. And if you're into the hypnobirthing, it's meant to close everything up, darling, and all that. But anyway.
I just loved all the bad advice that you get often from your mum that's out of date. And it used to just crack me up. And also sometimes I get cross. But, you know, I remember one of our university friends, Laura, her mum couldn't get her head round the sleeping bag, you know, with the arms out.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, she'll get freezing arms. And Laura went, no, I know it doesn't make sense and look right, but it's a scientific thing and works. And she said every time she went back up, her mum had put a blanket over the arms.
Oh,
Laura would remove it, and then they'd go, it'd be back on. So I love all the kind of out of date advice that you have to just go,
yeah.
Or sleeping in general, like when my kids were in cots, like mother-in-law, they were flipping them over like they were burglars. I couldn't like move, and suddenly like move the baby into a safer position, and you're like, no, it's not meant to be like that. And you don't kind of
it is confusing.
There's a lot of out of date advice, but that's very, very quickly. I think if we had another baby now, the advice would probably be completely different than when we last had a baby.
Totally, well, yeah, totally. And on that topic, as I said at the top about that we might be classed as geriatric mums, but somebody told me, and I should have done my research, was I think that at hospitals they've stopped using that word now. Is that right? Was that you, Vicky, told me?
No, I don't think it was me, but I have heard it. I have heard it as well. And actually, I think it was on its way out when we were starting off on our journey, ladies.
Sorry, just
it was on my hospital record as geriatric. I remember seeing the word and thinking, don't be ridiculous. And I think that was the first time I didn't realise that any woman over 30, I think, was classed as a geriatric mother. I remember seeing it and just thinking, oh my God, like they're being very dramatic as a GP or whatever. But I didn't realise it was an actual term.
So brutal, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh.
And okay, so just for the benefit of everyone, so is everyone all right saying how old they was when they had their first child then? So, Susie, you was
33, 34.
Now, to me, that's young mum to me. But
I felt like a gym slip mum. I did actually. That was the weird thing, that even though I was like much older than my mum was 28 by the time she'd had all three of us.
Wow.
And I felt like embarrassingly young. Far too young to have a baby. But of course, I wasn't at all. I wasn't.
And so then, how old was you when your youngest?
How old? What? Sorry, I was 39.
Wow, that's pretty good though, isn't it? Got them all out. Boom, boom, boom. Before you hit 40.
Yep, absolutely. Boom, boom, boom. Done.
And
It's shut.
the shop is shut here too, and I think Vicky will agree with shop is shut. And Vicky, so you're the same, aren't you?
Susie had her eldest quite a bit before me and you had, and I think it was really lovely because it gave me
a taster.
It was so nice watching Liberty growing up, and I just thought, oh, maybe I could do this. And so I took my time. I think I was 36, and then I was 37 when I popped her out, and then I think I was 40 when I fell pregnant with Stan, and 41 when I popped him out.
Wow, I love the way we're all like, it's just all blur, roughly. But yeah, so okay. So in terms of having the first one, I'm the oldest. So yeah, I was 37, 38 when I had the first one, and then 41 when I had Buster, which was just like, oh my God, I'm having a baby in my 40s. Just felt like my mum, which, as you know, my mum had me at 42, which obviously back in the dark ages, that was not heard of. So that was even crazier. But, okay. So, I mean, do we feel like older mums? I mean, or do you think because society is so much different now? I mean, I know for my mum, she really did. She did struggle at times, and she did have the whole thing of people saying that she thought it was her granddaughter and stuff. But I think that I think we were just I think the culture, obviously we all work in the arts, darling. It is different. And where I live in quite a suburban part of southeast London, and there are a lot of the mums I mix with are in their 30s, and sometimes they'll say their age, and I'm like, oh my God, they all had their kids in their 20s, and that's when I feel a bit old.
Yeah, I'm similar kind of place to where you live, Hattie, and it's very similar. Although I gravitated straight towards the girls that I thought, oh, I think you're a bit of me, and then when I found out their ages, they were all they were a similar age to me.
Right.
But there's one mum. This is the thing. I always think, oh, I'm going to be the oldest. I'm going to be the one that's the weirdo. And then it's never pans out like that. And
no.
There's a woman in my daughter's class who had her two daughters. They're at university, and then she got in a new relationship. So she's in her 50s. So I'm nowhere near the oldest mum.
Oh, you feel like a spring chicken.
But yeah, there is a real mix. There's some real young mothers, and I like it. There's a mix.
That's good.
Fine.
And Susie, I know that you, if I remember rightly, when we were younger, you always sort of wanted a big family and stuff. I always remember you talking about that. And then, but obviously your career and everything, it went mad. And was there a point where you thought, what am I going to do? Am I going to fit it in?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier, and I remember being at university and going into mother care and looking at baby grows. Like, I really wanted to be a mum, like from quite a young age, really.
Right.
Always wanted to be a mum. But yeah, when I started working in TV, I just loved it so much. And also I didn't meet anyone that I wanted to have kids with for quite a while. So that was important, obviously. And I just enjoyed my career. And I kind of always thought, oh, I'll do that later. That's fine. I can have kids later. And lots of people around me didn't have children until their 30s anyway. So I never felt really like I was older in that sense. And there's a good mix of people at school who are all ages. So I've never really felt like an older mum.
You're listening to the Funny Mummies podcast, the mum meetup you don't have to get dressed for. Right, that's interesting.
Yeah, I haven't actually.
Do you remember, Hattie, going for pizza, as always? I think we were probably coming up to our mid-30s.
Yeah, we went for pizza. Oh, there's an unusual occurrence.
sorry. So we went for pizza, and we were in our mid-30s, and you were like, "Do you think you will?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then you said, "I think if I could take something that could, because some really exciting things were happening in our careers, for both of us." I think you were doing your sitcom, Hattie, and and you went, I if we could just do something that could mean we could have them later, and it wouldn't be a problem, you know. And I remember thinking, yeah, that's sort of how I feel as well. There was definitely this sort of panic because we both found success. It taken us a long time, you know. It came quite late, didn't it? And then therefore it just put that pressure on. Oh God, so how will that work? Yeah. And that kind of dark feeling of, oh God, maybe we won't. That's how I felt. And you were like, oh, you know, mate, if only we could put it off and do it in our 40s. But and
yeah, you're so right. I do remember because unlike some of the flipping really young people I see on the stand-up circuit now who seem to have their shit together so young, I just didn't really know what I wanted to do or where I was going, and it just seemed to take me, you know, a bit longer. And also I was just having loads of fun. Like after uni I didn't go all career-y. I sort of just hanged about in London and worked in record shops and, you know, just had a fun time, whereas now it feels like they're getting in with their careers. So but yeah, it was
I felt the opposite actually, because I think I had my TV career just was quite fast. And it felt like I couldn't not work 100 miles an hour, otherwise I wouldn't progress. So I just absolutely did nothing but work and work and work. And it was brilliant, but I also felt like I kind of just didn't pay as much attention to my other side of my life. Right. And I definitely felt like after my 30th, a real sense of like, oh my God, I absolutely really wanted to have kids, and maybe I'm not going to be able to do it because I haven't met the right person. And I remember kind of having a kind of like, oh my God, I need to meet someone like today. Yeah. If I don't meet someone today, I've got to like date them for 2 years. Then I've got to get them to marry me. Then we've probably got to kind of like have lovely newlywed bliss for 2 years. Yeah. And then I'm like going to be past 35. Like, oh my God, I've got to do it today. What am I doing sat here on the sofa? I've got to go and meet someone. I felt like this huge like panic that I wasn't going to be able to have kids in time, more so than meeting someone. Do you know what I mean? It felt like, oh my God, that's got a real deadline. I felt like the clock ticking massively. And I was only 30, but that felt to me, because it was very important to me, I just felt like, oh my God, I've got to get on with it. Yeah. It all worked out.
It all worked out, and it's funny because we're all forgetting the whole thing of like the partner. Yes, that's like a big part of it, and I think I do also remember maybe around that time of that conversation, Vic, that I remember thinking like, right, that's it. I'm going to get my eggs frozen, and I'm going, you know, like you say all this, and I think I always knew in the back of my mind I would have one, even if I adopted. I remember thinking, you know, but I didn't want to do it just with the wrong person. And so I think that actually meeting my husband was a big factor of going, all right then, yeah, let's do it. And bless him, I mean, he's a lot younger than me, and he was quite young when I met him, and it was him that went, you're probably going to want kids soon, aren't you? And I went, yeah, and I went, you're right about that. And he went, yeah, I sort of thought, you know. So I'm sort of lucky in that one, lucky that he was also quite mature for his age. I mean,
I think you met him not long after that pizza. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think life is so funny how it, you know, we're having that conversation over pizza that's in our minds, and then
the cosmos. Do you think he was in that pizza restaurant and he heard me and then stalked me for months? God, there's a film plot, isn't there? And they went, I've got a funny feeling you might want a baby soon. But I mean, the pros. So getting to the pros and cons of being older mums. Because I think for me, it's a pro is that I don't have any sort of resentment. You know, I'm not thinking I'd rather be out partying, although would be quite nice at the moment. Just a bath on my own would be nice. So yeah, and sometimes I think, because I nearly had an accident when I was quite young, and I think, oh, what would that have been like, and would I have been a bit one of those? I worry that I would have been a bit like, you know, I'm not saying I'd have thrown it in the bin, but I mean, would I've always been thinking, oh, my life could have gone better, you know, because of this and that, or maybe it would have driven me. I don't know. Who knows?
I think I would have been a very different mum. I was anxious enough the age I was, and I think to be a young mum, I just wasn't ready, and I just wouldn't have had the confidence that I have now as I've noticed the difference between the baby one and baby two. Baby
Really?
two, I'm so much more chilled out, so much more confident, and I can feel that. I can feel that I wouldn't have. Well, I just wouldn't have done it in my 20s. I just wouldn't have done it.
So it's confidence.
I think so, and you know yourself better. I don't know. Like I think of my mum having her first baby at 22, or when you see people now who are having like kids in their 20s, I kind of think, oh my God, like I just didn't know a thing about life. I really didn't. And again, as you say, Vic, it's like the difference between the first baby and the second baby, or the third, is like, God, it used to take me a day to get out of the house, like a day. It absolutely packed a bag, and there'd be a nappy explosion. Then you'd like literally take a spare change of clothes for you and for them and for everyone. By the third one, I literally could have just chucked him in my handbag. And some wet wipes. What else do you need? I mean, just wet wipes. That's it. Anything else? Put your purse on you. You can just deal with it.
It is funny how with the first one you have all the different fancy bags and paraphernalia, and I better take this just in case, and and then you realise you just need baby wipes. That solves everything. You're listening to the Funny Mummies podcast for the Other Woman show on Soho Radio. We sort of we all sort of agreed, I'd say, that it's about confidence. That's one of the bonuses of having children later, is being more confident. I mean, I don't know, it'd be interesting if anyone listening still didn't feel, I mean, I don't know if it still makes you a confident mother. I'm sure that, you still have a lot of problems. I remember when I had my first, and the midwife said to me, oh, is this your second or third child? Because I must have seen, I think because I seemed quite confident with the baby, but I think some of that was having nieces and nephews, and and having lots of babies around to hold and throw around, and I wasn't holding them like a piece of glass,
Yeah. But I definitely was kind of racked with anxiety when I had all of them, frankly. A newborn baby, you just feel like, oh my God, especially if you've however you give birth, I think it just feels like, what, you kidding? Like, after all of that, I've now got to look after a baby. Like, I just had like a major abdominal surgery, thanks.
Yeah.
It's a big shock to your system. And I definitely felt, actually, age-wise, by number 3, my body didn't feel as springy as it did when I had Liberty. Do you know what I mean? It just felt like, oh my God, like, this is bloody hard work. And I didn't have easy pregnancies with any of them, but I just felt it so much more by the time I was 40 odd. It just felt physically much more difficult.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if I had any regrets, well, it's weird, I do regret having them older, but I wouldn't have had them. I just know everything happened for a reason, and I that was meant to be. But my body definitely couldn't have any more, and I can feel that. That's, as you said, the springiness and the energy that I think you have in your 20s is not there now.
Yes. And why did you say, Vicky, you regret having them older?
I think that energy, I think that kind of, that the sleep, the lack of sleep, I think I don't know. I just feel it would have been easier when I was younger, but, I
think it's pretty, like, lack of sleep is pretty much a nightmare however old you are. And I remember thinking, actually, I've done night shifts on Big Brother. Like, it'll be fine. I'm like definitely prepared for this. And then just like, it is the endurance task of it all that you just like, it's not one night's sleep you're missing out on. It is fucking years. Yeah. And it is, it's then a lifestyle. Then you're just like, oh my God, like who knew you could survive on so little sleep for years? And then you feel like, I just feel like, it's only now, actually, now the kids are all at school. My youngest is 5. And I feel like I've slept walk through years of my life because I've just been so tired.
You had really difficult year, didn't you, where they were the 2 boys were both getting up but not at the same time, and it just sounded so horrific. And as you said, it wasn't just a few nights. No, it was every night.
Yeah, they are, the 2 youngest are like not even 2 years in. There's not 2 years between them.
Yeah.
So when I had Cassius, Roman was still in nappies. He was still feeding, napping different times. It was just like, and then you have a few years then of just juggling. But what I do think is good about having kids later is that I had a career to go back to. I didn't feel like I was ever trying to like, what am I going to do in my life?
Launch your career.
What do I want to do? I had something that I really loved and that I was already kind of good at and doing well at. So I really liked that, actually, that I could, I mean, you still worry, of course. And as a freelancer, you're still like, oh God, I can't take too much time off because everyone will forget about me.
I'm going to become irrelevant, and be out of touch.
All of that, but at least I had, and I feel grateful for the fact that I had something that I really already enjoyed doing and I really loved and that I could go back to.
So the dream is to sort of get your career going a little bit, have a baby, and then, I think I'm a bit like Vic, as in I wish I could have had them a little bit younger, just a little bit, but these things are meant to be, and obviously there's pros and cons of both. I remember sitting in HSBC, as you do, having a meeting about something or other, gave me money, and the woman was telling me she had 4 kids, and they're all grown up now, and I think she was about 50 or something. I can't remember her age. But she had this thing of like, she was so fascinated by my life and thought it was great. And she was like, I've done nothing. I've been so, I've been so boring. I've just had kids, and they've all grown up and like they're about to have kids. And I was like, that's fantastic though. I was like, I probably won't be a grandparent. Maybe that's the only thing that makes me a bit sad. I'm just getting real. The way my oldest is going though, he keeps talking about having kids all the time. I'm like, he's going to be a young dad, I think. It's cute, isn't it?
Nice. Yeah, that's nice. But I know what you mean. Like when I had Cassius, it's not until you have kids, well, it certainly wasn't for me, that I started to think in time. Like, properly, I think, because as soon as you're pregnant, you're like, you count the weeks, and and then you're constantly knowing how old your children are by weeks, and I wasn't so aware of time, I guess, until I had children. And then I became like, oh my God, I'll be 50 when this child is, you know what I mean? You start kind of like panicking that you'll be a bit older. And now I've just kind of let it go. I just don't think you can kind of worry too much. Who knows?
No.
Yeah. What's around the corner, do you?
No, you don't. You don't. And so you can't worry about that. And it'd be lovely to have a grandchild. But to be honest, I've been knackered, so I don't mind either way. I won't be forcing them, but no, I think obviously the tired thing, but I also still think I'd have been more tired when I was younger, because I loved my sleep and like going out and laying in, whereas I knew what was coming. I knew what I was letting myself in for, and I was like, this is it. Not that it made it any easier, but you kind of like, there's no resentment, as I said.
Even when you go away, don't you find, like, if you ever have a night, not that it's happened very much at all in the last 18 months, but you still wake up early, you're still like away for a night and end up talking about the kids all night, or miss them when you're like, the little shits, like, why am I missing them? But you end up feeling like, I always felt like I was like a balloon, like a red balloon, poetry, And then you have children and you're just tethered, and it's not in a bad way, but you're tethered to the ground. You will always be tethered to something else, someone else, and you're thinking about them even when you're asleep, even when you're, you're just constantly, they're part of you, they're a living part of you that's out in the world, and you're just always now not just a singular person ever again.
No, so true.
I'm now a deflated balloon.
Little hot dog balloon can't quite get lift off ever again.
But that is beautiful, though. It is. Yeah, it's true. It's the whole cliche. Yeah, I go away, and which I haven't done for a long time, looking at the pictures. But you went away for about 6 weeks or something recently, Susie, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I went away for 5 weeks and 3 days.
She's counting. And how was that? It's like the longest.
I counted it off in my diary. It was quite traumatic in a lot of ways, because after, lockdown, obviously, 2020 didn't really work very much at all because I work in TV and there wasn't very much TV being made. Also, I was homeschooling 3 children, which was like bloody whack-a-mole. Like, get one set up online. You've got your login. Like, get one set up. Then you're like, Roman, what are you doing? Right, we're going to do a project about the Titanic. Yeah, okay, great. Go to Cassius, go, there's Lego, blah. And then like go back to Liberty. You're like, oh my God, stop Googling cats that can talk. Like, what is wrong with you? It was just literally like that all day long, all between the 3 of them. It was awful. Anyway, so when this big job came up, it was NBC, this big American job, and it was like we couldn't really afford to turn it down. That was the main thing. It was like a big year's contract, away for 6 weeks, and at the time, Danny and I obviously discussed it, and we were like, "Oh my God, that's going to be really hard." But it's 6 weeks. Like, surely we can just do that.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult. I found it very difficult being away from the children, but it was in some ways very freeing being able to just work and get up and work and concentrate on work and have nothing to distract me. It was really odd living on my own for the first time in many, many, many years.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a really odd experience. I don't want to repeat it, I have to say. Like, it was really difficult. I ended up not FaceTiming the children at all.
Oh, wow. I was going to ask that.
I know, it's so weird, and it sounds like I'm such a terrible mother, but like Danny was like, look, they're fine. And it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Sometimes it upsets them more. Yeah.
And the first time, actually, when I got there, I Zoomed everybody, and Cassie cried and said, I want to pull you through the screen. And I couldn't bear it. Like, I absolutely thought I'm not going to be able to like get through it unless I kind of almost pretend they don't exist, and I'm just here on my own doing this, and I'm just going to give it the best that I can. I'm very, very fortunate that Danny was like, just go and smash it. Just absolutely, I've got this. I've got the kid. I mean, I came back and he was literally grey. He was a husk of a man. But I'm very lucky that he kind of was able to give me the opportunity to do that. And I didn't like to say, you went away all those bloody times for work when I was like breastfeeding in the playground and pushing like Roman.
I was going to say, it's not luck, it's how it should be, obviously.
Absolutely. But I mean, it is hard. Single parenting, my God, hats off to anybody who doesn't have anyone else to help. It is bloody hard work.
I went to Barcelona for a week for work this year, didn't I? And Susie gave me the best advice, which was exactly that. Don't FaceTime them if you can, and just get on with doing what you're doing, you know. And that really was, it was the best advice. I did FaceTime. I went to Cardiff last year for 3 days, and on day 1 I FaceTimed and it was great. On day 2 I FaceTimed and they had the camera up but were looking at the telly. And I felt awful. I felt really like they just didn't really want to do it. They were fine. I got off and had a cry. And on day 3 I didn't. And so when Susie came through with that, don't FaceTime them, get on, enjoy being brilliant, do what you're doing. And it was the best advice. And it's very weird not to FaceTime them, but it was the right thing to do, because Wayne just needed to get on with what he was doing, and I needed to get on with what I was doing. And yeah.
Oh, that's good advice.
I think it just kind of upsets the apple cart a bit. So, I mean, obviously, if you can, and I did FaceTime Liberty because she's a bit older. But I was going to
say, I think it's age thing, yeah.
Yeah, the boys were kind of happy, and I would send Amazon parcels every week, and they were just happy with that. I mean, they were just literally. I think when I got home, it was like the end of the Lego coming, and it was I think it's difficult. It is really, really hard, but I think I always found that if I just kind of tried not to kind of reminisce about how cute they are and think about all the times that they're really irritating, and then you can just kind of like go, right, I've got this opportunity, come around again, and I've just got to absolutely try and be brilliant, and
take a
space to do that.
Take a little list of all the things that annoy you. Every time you miss them, just look at that list and remind yourself. But yeah, I think I think Vicky, you're saying we can be. I can be quite out of sight, out of mind. Like as in, if you're just going out for the night. But I think some parents do struggle. They're like worrying and stuff. But I'm literally like going, oh, I don't want to go. And then literally as soon as I close the door, I'm like, oh, it's fine. Yeah, I'm gone.
Yeah, and they are fine. That's the thing. When I did a couple of recce's for a couple of days first, and I was like, because I hadn't been away because it had been COVID, I hadn't been away from home at all for like 18 months, and I did a couple of recce's, came back after a couple of nights thinking I was going to walk through the door and they were all going to... Roman went, oh, have you been away? I thought you were upstairs.
Oh!
I've been away. I thought I was working up here, like...
They don't even need us
as much as you think, and actually, it's you that hurts. You're the one. Oh my God, I'm damaging my kids. And Danny was like, they're literally having the time of their life.
Well, you know that from when you talk about, I think we still talk about something from last year even, and like Huck did not remember it. You know, some fantastic day out somewhere, and he was like, "Oh, did we?" And you're like, "Oh, yeah, they don't remember." So that's good advice, because hopefully I'm doing Edinburgh this year and I'm going to be half with them, half not. And so I think, to put my head into it, I will not do FaceTime, because you're doing it for yourself, and actually they're not going to give you what you want. They're not going to go, oh, good luck, mummy, we really love you, having a good time. They're just going to be going, like you say, you're going to be going, oh, I just want to watch TV. So
we all know from lockdown how awful they are on Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Children's medium at all. Like, I felt so sorry for my mum and dad because they really missed the kids, obviously. And I would dread those family Zooms because the kids would have been fine, happily playing, whatever. Turn Zoom on, it just turns them into dicks. And I don't know why, but they're like, yeah. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, mum and dad. You haven't seen children in 6 months and they're awful, but they were fine before. It's just like they can't cope with seeing their faces and the kind of performative nature of it all. It just doesn't suit children.
I know. That's so fucking rude. You just reminded me. I've just said the F word. I just remembered, different times I phone up and go, oh, let's phone up Grandma to say thank you for this present. And they just go, thank you, and run off.
Awful.
Right, so on that note, kids are awful. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about being an older mum, just don't, because it's awful.
Don't bother.
Don't bother.
No, you'll be fine. But just, keep up the yoga.
You're listening to the Funny Mummies podcast. It's like a meet up with your favourite non-judgy mum mates. So, just to finish on, I always give you a free pass to go out for the night without kids. Or you can stay in, you can do whatever you like, but we will take the kids away, and you can tell us where you would eat, or who would you be with, where would you go, who would like to go first?
I'm very happy to go first, but it's quite straightforward. I just love going out for dinner. That's all I want to do is go out for dinner with Danny, with anyone, frankly, and have a really nice meal and a glass of wine, and for it not to all end up on the floor. Yeah. Or, you just eating with children is just not what they want to do. They see it in such eating out for them is like, just get it out the way because it's a playground or something to do next. Like, what am I doing next? What am I doing next?
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do with myself? Whereas if you're with adults, it's a lovely pastime and you can chat and have pudding. And it's just not like 80 quid's worth of indigestion.
Yeah.
Any particular food you like, Susie, that you'd be having?
Just very fancy, please.
Just fancy food. Lovely.
It's not children friendly, you know, stuff that we just wouldn't eat.
Yeah. Don't have to have fish fingers. Vicky?
Very similar. I think.
Who would you be with?
Him indoors. I think we need a little we need a little romantic dinner.
Oh God, yeah.
And there's a place in Padstow called what's it called? On the Greens, and it's you eat outside and it overlooks the bay. And there's a hotel that's unfortunately been bought, but it was like a 1930s. It looked like Poirot would be staying there, and I think we've always wanted to go and stay in there. So maybe we'd go there.
Yeah, you can go and stay there for the night.
And someone would be looking after the children.
We'd have them for the night. They'd be there for the night, so you can go and stay in the hotel. Dreams.
All over that.
It will happen.
Oh.
One day, but yeah, a lot of them. Honestly, we do get a lot of people answer that they say, I just go out for dinner on my own. Just want to eat in peace without, especially the last year, because people have been spending a lot of time with their partners as well. But yeah.
True. But someone to have the children, please.
Oh. Yeah.
And that is really, you know, over the last couple of years, especially as now, 2 years down the line, my parents are 2 years older, which is in dog years. It's like 20 years older. Like, it's not going to be the same. They're not going to be able to have 3 kids running around. My repertoire, it turns out, it's quite a small thing, you know? Like, all the things I cook, like, don't even last a week. Around again.
Well, maybe we can end on passing something on. So what's something it might give us an idea. So what's something that you cook that you think maybe any of us would not? So somebody put up recently, I'm just so bored of my I think it was Gina Lyon, she's a producer, and she said, I'm so bored of myself, can people please give me an idea? And I just said jacket potato, cheese and beans, because a lot of people don't really have that for dinner apparently, but it's a saviour for us.
Oh.
Are you jacket potato and beans, or is that too common, Susie?
It's not too common at all. I just don't think I've ever introduced my children to it's a firm favourite of mine, I tell you that for free.
Well,
cheese first, beans after.
Yeah.
Beans, yeah. Well, I'm going to take the jacket potato to a whole new level, because it's my kids' favourite meal, and we were getting a bit bored of it. So then I turned it into a whole experience, and they love it. So I make a chili con carne with corn, and then I serve that in a big bowl on the table, and we have sour cream, grated cheese, avocado, all this stuff. Ooh, and everyone helped. The kids cannot believe that they can serve themselves.
Ooh.
Like it's a whole special night.
Oh, it's an experience.
It's an experience.
It's also mum can't be bothered to make it and put it on a plate. Just
I love that. Can I help myself? I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I can just do that with burger and chips as well. Just put it on.
Anything, really.
Anything, and say, do it yourself. All right, ladies. I'm going to have to let you go. It's been lovely. Thank you so much. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
And hopefully next time in person.
Wonderful. Thank you for being my very first podcast.
Oh!
The phone's going to be red hot.
It really is. I think you're going to be producing the next TV show about older mums, and I want to present it. If there's anything you two want to flag up for yourself or someone else, you're always welcome to pass on the womanly love. If there's anything you've seen and we want people to go and see or not.
My own show will be coming out next year.
Oh.
Which is on NBC, but I think also it's going to be on Peacock, which you can get if you have Sky.
What's it called?
It's called Pride and Prejudice, an Experiment in Romance, and it's a reality dating show.
Wow!
All in period costume, set in a castle, very romantic, and that's what I've been doing.
Perfect. Wow. Oh, I can't wait for that. If only I was single, I'd have gone on it. Vicky,
I haven't got anything. I think Yeah, enjoy Christmas, everybody.
Yes, Christmas.
But your Piper and that is still up online. People can still and the gift.
Is. Yeah. Oh, I don't know about the gift, but the Piper definitely is. It's on BBC Sounds.
I thought I saw the gift up there.
Oh, I'll have to check that out. But yeah, if you fancy a spooky podcast drama, check it out.
This will go out before Christmas, I meant to say. So, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Remember not to, I don't know, like, just don't get stressed out. It's one day. And I heard some good advice recently from some mummy thing, and I thought it was good, which was like, walk the Christmas day through in your mind from their eyes. And what do they really care about? You know, they don't care about, you know, a lot of it, really just the presents. So don't overstress.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Lots of love.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to the Funny Mummies podcast with me, Hatty Ashdown, in association with Screaming with Laughter for the Other Woman radio show on Soho Radio. Thanks to all my guests and panel today, and edited and produced by Charlotte Kingston. We'll be back every month for another dose of Mum and Tonic.